All right, so today we have the beautiful Kristen here, and we are going to do Nano on top of her old microblading. I'll show you a little bit about what I'm thinking, but Kristen, any thoughts first about what you like, what you don't like, color, shape, all of
Yeah, I got them done about 2 years ago, and I feel like the color's kind of gone a little gray, a little purple now, which I'm not that keen on. As well, I don't feel like they're necessarily even, or like symmetrical for my face. So those would be my two things: is a little richer color and some symmetry.
Perfect. So I have a lot of clients like Kristen come in because microblading is really what's been done over the last 15, 20 years. As I've said before, I have microblading underneath my Nano. And so what happens, and I'm gonna get you to zoom in closely in a minute here, but what happens with the microblading, because you're taking literally a manual blade, I have one, and you're kind of scratching or cutting the hair strokes into the skin, and then you're putting the pigment on top. So the problem with that, and microblading is pretty much, was the gold standard over the last 20 years, and now we've kind of moved on. But basically the problem is, because you need to get your microblading done, every year to 2 years to keep it looking fresh, it does create a lot of scar tissue over time, and you will not be able to see those hair strokes quite as crisply. All right, so I want you to take a close look here, and Kristen, I'm sure you've seen your eyebrows close up. But we've got, obviously she has, quite a bit of coarse natural hair on top, and then you can see that microblading underneath. So it starts here where there's no hair, and then you can still see a few of those little strokes, but overall it's quite patchy and blotchy, and that's just really kind of normal with microblading, no matter who's doing it or what their skill level. Also, we've noticed over time with fair skin, light eyes, that microblading isn't the most ideal technique, and oily skin. So there are very few people where microblading is actually a good option for them. Otherwise, we're really switching everyone over to Nano now. So what I'm going to do is, in talking with Kristen, I'm going to map out kind of where her eyebrows are going to look the most flattering for her face shape, keeping in mind she does already have something there. So even though what I'm doing on top isn't necessarily the shape that I would have chosen from the beginning, but we're gonna just make them a little bit more symmetrical, a little bit more flattering, and you will be able to see those nano strokes over top. In terms of the color, I probably am gonna try to just lighten some of this up a little bit with a yellow color corrector, just to see if we can kind of, fade it a little bit. But again, like I said with my eyebrows, even though we're doing Nano over top, you're always gonna have that base microblading pigment underneath, so it's never gonna be as fresh as we would have liked to have it from the beginning. Okay, so we've done kind of the mapping and the outline, and this is the part I always like to tell people about. Because I'm doing Nano, even though I have the outline here, we're not tattooing that outline, so it's not gonna look nearly as drastic as it does. So I'll show you, Kristen, what I mean, and you'll be like, oh yeah. So so this tattoo this outline is not tattooed. And what we're doing with the Nano is going from within the bottom line to within the top line, and that's just where we're doing those strokes. So now, because we want to start with numbing, so we're gonna put some numbing cream on, but I don't want to lose the outline that I've done, nor do I want to lose it when I'm in the middle of tattooing. So I always tell people, we have these lovely little surgical pens, and this is literally like the pen that they use when you're going in for surgery in the hospital. So I'm just gonna put little purple dots all around the outline so that those stay for the majority of the procedure. Usually they're all gone by the time I'm done. Sometimes there's a few little purple dots that hang around, but it's not permanent, so. I just want to show you here, look at the difference already. So we did the yellow color corrector over top of that kind of purpley ash, and that's not corrected yet. So you can see how much it already lightened it up, and that's exactly what we want. So when we go over it with the medium brown, it'll be a lot better result.